Sophia bint Abdul Muttalib. Sophia bint Abdul Muttalib was the aunt of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and similar to him in age. She was married to the brother of Khadija bint Khuwaylid, and they had a son together called Zubayr ibn Awam. She was one of the first people to enter Islam, known for her courage and bravery. She became a widow while her son Zubayr was still very young, and she chose to stay single. Sophia raised him to be hardworking and hard-bodied. She made sure that he learned fighting techniques. She would also make him work in the sun and would feed him just enough, but not until his belly was full. During the Battle of the Trench, she protected the other women who were with her by killing a man who had been sent as a spy. Finding a balance. As a single parent, being a mother may only be one of the many roles that you have to play in this life. But without a doubt, it is the one that comes with the most opportunity. That opportunity is your greatest responsibility, and that is raising the next generation. As a Muslim mother, you are raising the next generation of Muslims. How you raise your children will determine how they treat you. The big question is, will they treat you as if paradise is at your feet? Here, I want to go into a few points that I think are important for us as mothers to think about when it comes to how we raise our kids. They are spoiling your children, being the helicopter mum, living your life through your children, being an over-controlling mother, finding a balance, love, respect, and trust. Spoiling your children. Who likes a spoiled brat? I know I don't. Let's face it, we all love our kids, but do we like them? By overindulging your child in everything that it wants and desires, you are racing very fast the wrong way, and that's downhill. There really isn't anything good about spoiling your children, in my opinion. And let me be clear here. I'm not talking about treating them every now and then or rewarding your child for their achievements, etc. This most definitely is essential. I'm talking about your child being the dictator in your life. Whatever it wants, you give it to them. If your child cries for something, you give in and let them have it, as if to say that letting your child cry is haram. You need to shut them up. Or your child is so accustomed to throwing tantrums, so you do anything for them to stop. If this is your daily life, then you have a serious issue. Nobody likes a spoiled brat, and dare I say it, even the parents of a spoiled brat don't like a spoiled brat. Do they love their spoiled brat child? Yes, of course, and that love has cost them, because it has led them to show their affection in a way that the child controls. All parents who aren't narcissists or sociopaths want to see their children happy and would do anything for their children's happiness, but pandering to their every whim and desire is a very short-sighted way to achieve that. Just think about this. If you raise your child this way, but then something happens to you that you can no longer take care of them. God forbid that you die and your child is left to live without you. What person would be happy to take your child and care for it, let alone keep up with the ridiculous indulgences that you have allowed your child to become accustomed to? By spoiling your child, you could be raising them to be self-centered and arrogant, inconsiderate of others' needs, wants, and feelings, possibly disrespectful, overly demanding, entitled, narcissistic, mean, impatient, able to control their desires, aggressive. If these are the qualities that you look for in a friend, then I wish you all the best. But these are not the characteristics of the people of Jannah, so I definitely do not want my children to have them. If I wouldn't want this type of a person as a friend, then what about my child? In my short lifetime, I've seen many parents who spoil their kids and have that favorite child. I just think to myself, why? Why is that one your favorite? It's the worst child you have in behavior and manners. I'm just telling it how I see it, and I'm sure you've seen it in other families too. The favorite child that can do no wrong, but is actually the worst of the bunch. Yet it gets praised for every minuscule and rare good thing that they do. All the while their attitude stinks. and they are nothing but a burden on those around them because of their oppressive characteristics that I have previously mentioned. It amazes me how parents can be so blinded and brainwashed into believing their spoilt favorite child is so amazing, while they are often causing excess misery to those around them. It's also common that sometimes parents who are divorced try to overcompensate their children by giving them whatever they ask for as a result of guilt after a breakup. Sometimes a parent may do it because they want the child to love them more than the other parent, and they try to spoil the child as a means of competing. Please, sisters, do not fall into this trap. Children are not foolish. A child values love, care, and affection much more than any material gift that you can give them. You will see that a child may be happy when it gets a new toy or gift. How long will the excitement last? It is short-lived. Physical possessions cannot replace the time and care that you spend with your child. Don't spoil your kids, because nobody else needs to love them. They probably won't have many good friendships as a result of the level of toxicity that they bring to a relationship. Being a helicopter mum. Like, really? Are you for real, sister? I'm probably going to run some people up the wrong way here when I say this, but in my opinion, the helicopter mum can be one of the most annoying types of parent to watch for the following reasons. They're often overly fussy, highly stressed, control freak type mums that barely let their children breathe without them having to be present to monitor the amount of oxygen their child is taking in. Now, I can understand totally if your child has or has had any serious medical conditions where you are, of course, required to take extra precautions with them. If that doesn't apply to you, then really, sister, fussing over your child's every move like they will break their bones any second is ridiculous. The world is not full of fluffiness and cotton wool. Tell me, what type of world are you preparing them for by hovering over them 24/7? Do you think that you'll be here forever? God forbid you are taken from this world while they are still young. Tell me, what confidence have you instilled in your child that they know that not only can they take on the world, but also contribute to it in a positive way? You won't be there to hold their hand for them all the time. They will need to step out into the big bad world on their own eventually. I know that's a scary thought. Trust me, I'm petrified of it. But I know that I've done my best in giving my children the confidence and skills to be able to deal with the world if I'm not around. If you're the mum that screams and runs to her children when they fall over and cut their knee, making a big fuss over them and actually making the child even more afraid because of your reaction, you're a helicopter mum. If you're the kind of mum who doesn't want their kids to play with other people's kids because they might catch a cold, unless they have a serious medical condition, of course, you're a helicopter mum. You make all of your child's decision for them, including what they should wear each day, down to their underwear, and your child is over 8 years old. To top it off, you even still help them dress and tie their laces. If you do this, then you're a helicopter mum. You don't let your children do any chores around the house because you think it's going to hurt them in some way. You're a helicopter mum. When your child has a minor argument at school with another child and you make it your business to go and complain to the other child's mum, or even worse, you go directly to that child yourself and give them a good talking to, you're a helicopter mum. These are all signs of being a helicopter mum. There are probably more, but if you're a helicopter mum, then you know who you are. You need to stop. Seriously, it's not actually healthy for you or your child. Human beings need to grow to live. First, grow physically. After puberty is done, the physical side stops, and the growth that we must work hard to maintain is the mental, emotional, and spiritual growth. You and your child should be growing together. Empower yourself. Empower your child. I often see that those with helicopter syndrome are usually the scaredy cat type that are scared to take risks and try new things. They seem to have so much fear inside them and want to protect their children from these fears, which, of course, is natural. But wouldn't it make more sense to teach yourself and your child how to deal with fear? living your life through your children. So this one is a bit of a touch and go. What I mean is that every parent wants and should want the best for their child or children. Maybe as a child you really wanted to be a doctor, but then you were deprived of having an education, or you went to school, but you were never really encouraged and or lacked the confidence, so you didn't get the grades to set you on the path to fulfilling that dream of becoming a doctor. As a result of this, you've got your heart set on your son or daughter fulfilling that dream for you. You constantly remind them their whole life that's what you wanted to be and that you want them to do the same thing. Of course, if your child shares these aspirations of becoming a doctor, then that's great. Push them to achieve their dream. Some parents, unfortunately, however, have a really obsessive and almost crippling dream for their children due to their own personal failures or disappointments in life. It's like some kind of guilt, pushing them towards the dreams that you had for yourself when your child simply doesn't have the same desires or interests. This is very different from pushing your child to achieve their full potential according to what you as a mother know they are good at, even though your child may not see it in themselves due to lack of confidence or not believing they are smart enough. For example, I really love martial arts, and I wish that I'd had the opportunity as a child to be able to learn. When my son was very small, around 2 years old, he loved watching martial arts movies and used to try and copy the moves. As he grew older, he became interested in other things and seemed to grow out of his young karate kid stage, and he grew increasingly shy and introverted. I really wanted him to get involved in some kind of martial arts for the confidence, coordination, and improved concentration that it gives. I also knew that my son would be good at it, and hoped for him to be able to reawaken his passion that he had for it when he was a small boy. When he was about 6 years old, I signed him up to a karate class, but in the end, he only did 2 classes. He really didn't feel comfortable there at all. He had been the only non-white kid in the class, was also one of the few new kids that had joined, and didn't know anyone else. I could see that he really struggled to enjoy anything. The hall was always freezing cold, and personally, I didn't think the instructor was very good at all, as he didn't have the children very active for most of the lesson and spent a lot of time talking. My son was adamant that he wouldn't go another week, and I wasn't going to force him, as it was clearly not a good fit for him. But the point is, we tried. Years later, when he was 11 years old, my friend told me about a class that her son was attending, and it sounded very good. After visiting with my son to see one of the classes, I knew it would be a good fit for him, and the sensei was the best I'd ever met in person. He had a great vibe about him and was extremely welcoming to both me and my son. I met a few sensei previously, and most of the time they would ignore you, even though you're clearly a new parent and child coming out of interest. This sensei was different. He was extremely friendly and very genuine. My son, however, was not convinced, so I had to force him to go. He was convinced that it was going to be just as bad as his previous experience years before, and insisted that he didn't even like martial arts, which I refused to accept. I put his attitude down to just being a lazy 11-year-old boy who lacked confidence and was extremely shy. So, I made a deal with him that he should go for 2 lessons and see how it goes. If he didn't like it, then he wouldn't have to go again. So we went. It was a Thursday, and his first ever lesson in the hall. When we got there, he was the only student who had turned up that day, so he had his first entire 2-hour-long session of karate, one-on-one with the sensei. I sat and watched him the entire time. I could see that I was right, and that he was going to be great at it, inshallah. He naturally had good form, so the rest would follow. After our deal of 2 lessons, he agreed to keep going. He took it very seriously, and I made sure to take him to every lesson 3 times a week. He deserved it. He needed something for himself. Something that would help him build his confidence, give him a sense of achievement, and of course, the classes were a lot of fun. He didn't feel like the odd one out, as there were students of all ages, from a variety of cultural backgrounds. Surprisingly, The class actually has over 30 students, which I wouldn't have guessed considering no one had showed up for his first lesson. Alhamdulillah, my son is now on his purple belt and is determined to achieve his black belt in the near future, inshallah. So there's a big difference between pushing your child towards their dreams and to fulfill their potential rather than just pushing them to live yours. The over-controlling mother. Now, this type of mother can act in a similar way to the helicopter mum and the living life through your children mum, in the sense that they have to know every single movement their child makes at every second of the day. But the controlling mother goes that extra step further, in that they control or completely dictate everything their child should or shouldn't do. It's way more than trying to guide your child. It's borderline mental abuse. Having such a strong and extreme amount of control over your child, i.e., not letting them do the activities at school for no good reason, not allowing them to have friends for no good reason, choosing all their school subjects that they should take without any regard to what they actually like and are good at, and the list goes on. Even in the short term, this is damaging, and you will begin to see the problems in that, such as your child will lack confidence in making decisions as they have never been allowed to do it. They may become competitive or jealous of siblings because they are desperately trying to seek your approval and validation. They may become fearful of making mistakes and think that making mistakes is the worst thing in the world, when it is in fact a way to learn and grow. They may become withdrawn, isolated, and even depressed, scared to share their feelings and thoughts because everything is constantly being dictated to them. How will your child be able to express their views, opinions, and feelings if they are constantly worried that it may be something incorrect or wrong? How will your child grow if they are in a constant state of stress, panic, or even fear that they are not good enough, or that nothing they do is good enough? How will they grow mentally and spiritually if they cannot even express their own thoughts, feelings, and emotions because they are being taught that they don't matter, because they live under constant dictatorship? You may think that you're protecting your child by these previous ways of parenting I've mentioned, but believe me, you're not. Help your child's confidence by showing them that you believe in and trust them to make the right decisions, their own decisions, not necessarily the ones that you expect them to make, just their own decisions. Different ways of thinking can be good, and you should give your child the opportunity to teach you that. Finding a balance: love, respect, and trust. I used to believe that it's all about love and that love is all you need. In reality, what you need in any real relationship is a balance of love, respect, and trust. Love needs to be shown at various times and in various ways: words, actions, and kind gestures. Respect needs to be shown, not just from the child to parent, but from parent to child. In order to do this, there needs to be boundaries. There is nothing wrong with rules, but the rules should make sense. There's nothing more annoying than having to follow the rules just because. Just because it sounds good or just because you want to feel powerful and in control is not going to work well in the long run. Trust is extremely important so that you can continue a positive relationship with your children in their adult future, and it really goes both ways. You need to show your child that you trust them in order to earn their trust. Trust needs confidence so that it can take place from both sides. Just imagine a life that you are being dictated to in everything that you do, and you follow along diligently with your head bowed, physically, mentally, and spiritually depressed. You become so used to it, you believe that's all life is. Even after following all the steps and doing what you've been told to do, you still have a hard life, and maybe you end up in an abusive relationship. Wouldn't you resent that parent, person that you listened to and followed that brought you to that place, even though it's actually your responsibility because you chose to listen and obey them against your own wishes? What would make it even more sad is that if you would stay in that misery, believing it to be the right thing to do because that's what you were taught. In my experience and opinion, Parenting and your parenting style is something that needs constant evaluation, assessment, and reflection. You need to take a step back sometimes and try to look objectively at how you're doing and if you need to make any changes while dealing with certain issues that may arise. Life is full of so many unpredictable situations that will mean we need to refocus and reassess the way we are doing things. You can ask the opinion of people that you respect, who understand you, or are good examples of parents. Always try to be objective. You may be told some harsh truths about your parenting by others. They may be wrong, or they may be right. What you need to do is think about what will be best for your children in the long term. You should also not be afraid to ask your children what they think. Ask their opinions on how they see you as a parent. They may not give you the answers that you would like to hear, but it's worth doing so that you can build trust with your children. Not only that, by taking the time to listen to their concerns or feedback, you are showing them that you are not perfect and can also make mistakes. This is another way of teaching them that life is all about learning no matter what age you are. Your children will inshallah see that you are not simply trying to run their lives or just make them do things they dislike, but that you are genuinely trying to give them the best possible start to their lives in every way. Even if that means admitting that you as their parent were wrong and have made mistakes. Through these discussions, you will begin to understand how your children are thinking. A lot of it may be very short-sighted. They may very well surprise you. For example, you could ask your child what they think of the discipline methods that you have in place and why they don't like them and whether they think it's effective. Ask them what they will do instead. Make them think about it. Obviously, no one likes to be disciplined, even when accepting their faults, but getting to understand your children's perspectives on these issues can give you great insight to how they see not only you as a parent, but the world. You can ask them if they understand why discipline and taking responsibility for your actions is important. You could also ask them why it's important to obey your parents. These types of questions are great for making good discussions with your children and also an opportunity to teach them about the realities of life. You can also learn what is the most effective and responsive way your children accept being disciplined for the consequences of misbehavior. After having one of these discussions with my children at quite a young age, I think my daughter may have been around 5 or 6, so my son around age 3, they both opened up and told me that they really didn't like it when I shouted at them. They really didn't like the fact that I raised my voice at them so much. I, of course, told them in defense that it was because I felt that they weren't listening to me. To which they replied, "But we're not deaf, so you don't need to shout." They said that they just wanted me to talk normally. So I agreed. From then on, no more shouting. It was hard at first, but anytime I would slip up, they reminded me of my promise to them, and they paid more careful attention to me when I told them to do something, which also took away from me feeling that I needed to shout at all. Alhamdulillah, I felt so much better for it because I actually hate raising my voice and sounding like an irate maniac. By having these kinds of discussions with them, you will be building a friendship that, inshallah, will be lifelong. Think about your future grandchildren, inshallah. When your children are raising them, inshallah, and you want to advise them or have a concern, they will be more likely to trust that you are someone who they can take advice from, not just because you are their mother, but because you are a conscious thinker. Wouldn't it be so wonderful to have that type of friendship with your children that you can go to them and ask them for advice?